The night she came back from her Bachelorette trip, I knew something was wrong before she even opened the door. It was quiet in the apartment. Too quiet. The kind of silence that presses against your chest and makes your thoughts louder than they should be. I was sitting on the couch in our small downtown Chicago apartment, the city lights bleeding through the floor-to-ceiling windows. My phone screen had already gone dark hours ago, but I kept holding it like it might explain something. 3 days. 3 days in Miami with her friends. 3 days where her texts slowly changed from excited and loving to short, cold, and delayed. And tonight she was finally coming home. The key turned in the lock. A soft click. The door opened. Emma stepped inside with a small suitcase rolling behind her. Her blonde hair was messy, her makeup half gone, and there was a strange heaviness in her eyes. Not guilt. Something worse. Distance. For 5 years, I could read Emma like a book. Tonight, it felt like I was staring at a stranger. "Hey," she said quietly. Not baby. Not I missed you. Just, hey. I stood up slowly. Hey, I replied. She closed the door behind her and looked around the apartment like she hadn't been here in months instead of 3 days. Her eyes avoided mine. That was the second sign. Emma never avoided eye contact. Not when we argued. Not when we laughed. Not even the night I proposed to her on Navy Pier under the fireworks. But now, she was studying the floor. The couch. The wall. Anywhere except me. "You okay?" I asked carefully. She nodded quickly. "Yeah, just tired." That was the third sign. Emma wasn't tired. Emma was thinking. And when Emma was thinking, it meant something was about to break. She slowly pulled her suitcase into the hallway. "I'm gonna take a shower," she said. "Sure." She disappeared into the bedroom, leaving behind a faint scent of ocean salt and expensive perfume. I stood there in the living room, staring at the closed door. Something inside my chest felt tight. Not panic. Not fear. More like the quiet realization you get when a storm is already above you, but the thunder hasn't hit yet. The shower turned on. Water rushing. Steam fogging the bathroom mirror. 20 minutes later, she came back out wearing one of my oversized gray hoodies and a pair of shorts. Her wet hair dripped down her shoulders. She sat on the opposite end of the couch. Too far. That distance between us suddenly felt like miles. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The city outside buzzed with life, sirens, car horns, people laughing somewhere down on the street. Inside our apartment, it felt like the air had stopped moving. Finally, she cleared her throat. "Can we talk?" 4 words. 4 words every man knows are never good. I leaned back slowly. "Sure." She twisted her fingers together. A nervous habit she'd had since college. "I've been doing a lot of thinking," she began. "Of course you have." That sentence alone felt like a knife, sliding slowly across the table between us. I forced a small smile. "About." She looked down at her hands. "Us." There it was. The storm finally cracking. I stayed quiet. Years ago, I learned something important during arguments. The more silent you are, the more people reveal. Emma inhaled deeply. The trip, it gave me space to think about things. Things like what? Her voice trembled slightly. Our future. I nodded slowly. Okay. Another long pause. Then she said it. "I think I need a break." The words hung in the air like smoke. A break. Not a breakup. Not yet. Just the coward's version. My heartbeat slowed. Strangely, I didn't feel angry. Not yet. Instead, I felt calm. Too calm. "What do you mean by a break?" I asked. She finally looked at me. And for the first time since she walked in, I saw it. Guilt. "We've been together a long time," she said carefully. 5 years. I know. And we're supposed to get married in 4 months. Her lips tightened. Exactly. That word echoed in my head. Exactly. Like the wedding was the problem. Emma, I said quietly, just say what you actually mean. She hesitated. Then the truth started slipping out. My friends, they made me realize something. There it was. Her friends. The same friends who always joked that I was too stable. The same friends who rolled their eyes whenever Emma talked about saving for a house instead of traveling. What did they make you realize? I asked. She swallowed. That I've never really lived for myself. I stared at her. You've never, what? I went from college straight into our relationship. Her voice was getting stronger now. Like she'd practiced this speech. I never got to experience things the way they did. Experience what exactly? She hesitated again. Freedom. I let out a slow breath. Freedom. Funny word. Usually used by people who already have everything. So let me get this straight, I said calmly. You went to Miami for a bachelorette trip and came back deciding you need freedom from the man you're about to marry. It's not like that. It sounds exactly like that. Her jaw tightened. You're twisting it. No, I said quietly. I'm repeating it. Silence again. Emma looked frustrated now. Good. Because something about this conversation didn't feel spontaneous. It felt rehearsed. Like someone had been whispering in her ear all weekend. Look, she said, rubbing her temples. I just think maybe we rush things. I almost laughed. 5 years. Rushed. I just want some space, she continued. Time to figure out who I am without us. That sentence echoed in my mind. Without us. Not without me. Without us. The difference mattered. A lot. I leaned forward slightly. How long? What? The break. She shrugged weakly. I don't know, a few weeks, maybe a month. A month. I nodded slowly. Then I did something she clearly wasn't expecting. I smiled. Not a fake smile. A real one. Warm. Calm. Almost relieved. Emma blinked in confusion. You're smiling. Yeah. Why? I leaned back into the couch, folding my arms. Because in that exact moment, something inside my mind finally clicked. All the late replies during the trip. The strange Instagram photos she didn't send me. The sudden talk about freedom. It all made sense now. And the funny part, she thought she was the one changing the rules. She thought she was the one taking control. But what Emma didn't realize was that the moment she asked for a break, she had just given me exactly what I needed. And she had no idea what was coming next. Emma stared at me like she was trying to solve a puzzle. My smile made her uncomfortable. I could see it in the way her shoulders shifted and the way her fingers kept tapping against her knee. You're taking this really well, she said carefully. I shrugged. What did you expect? I don't know, I thought you'd be upset. Oh, I am, I said calmly, just not the way you imagined. She watched me closely now. Trying to read me. Trying to figure out if this was anger, sarcasm, or something else. But the truth was simpler. The moment she said the word break, 100 tiny details from the past week suddenly snapped together in my mind like pieces of a picture. The late-night Instagram story where her friend tagged a club in Miami. The blurry video of Emma dancing with a group of strangers. The way she had stopped answering my texts after midnight. The morning she said she fell asleep early, even though the story showed her out at 3 a.m. And most of all, that one message, the one she sent Saturday night. The girls are dragging me somewhere loud. I'll text you later. She never did. Instead, the next text came the next afternoon. Short. Dry. Cold. Sorry, long night. At the time, I ignored the feeling in my gut. Because when you love someone, you don't want to believe the ugly possibilities. But now the picture was getting clearer. Emma shifted on the couch. So you're okay with it? Okay with what? The break. I nodded slowly. Yeah. She blinked again. Just like that. Just like that. Her confusion was almost funny. She had prepared for tears. For arguments. For begging. But calm acceptance. That threw her completely off balance. Well, I mean, thank you for understanding, she said awkwardly. Of course. Silence filled the room again. But this time, it felt different. Heavier. Because now I wasn't looking at Emma the way I used to. Before tonight, when I looked at her, I saw my future. Now I was studying her like evidence. The faint tan line on her shoulder. The small bruise on her thigh. The way her phone kept lighting up with notifications she didn't check. Every detail suddenly mattered. She stood up. I'm gonna unpack. Take your time. She walked toward the bedroom. Halfway down the hallway she stopped. Are you coming to bed? I shook my head. I've got some work emails to finish. Oh. For a moment she looked disappointed. Or maybe relieved. Hard to tell anymore. Okay, good night. Night. The bedroom door closed softly. A second later, I heard the faint click of the lock on her suitcase. Interesting. I sat there on the couch for a long moment staring at the city skyline. Then I slowly reached for my laptop on the coffee table. If Emma wanted space, I was more than happy to give it to her. But first, I needed answers. I opened Instagram. Her profile was still public. Emma never cared much about privacy online. Her most recent post was from Miami. A photo on a yacht. Sunset behind her. Champagne glass in her hand. Her caption read, "One last wild weekend before life gets serious." My jaw tightened. One last wild weekend. Hundreds of comments below. Most from her friends. But one caught my eye. A guy named Tyler Grant. Best weekend ever, you owe me round 2 winking face. Round 2. My chest felt cold. I clicked his profile. Private. Of course. But his bio said he lived in Miami. Gym trainer. Thousands of followers. Typical. I leaned back in the couch slowly. Was that proof of anything? No. But it was a thread. And I had time. A lot of time. Because Emma wanted a break. Which meant she assumed I would just sit here waiting for her to figure herself out. But Emma had forgotten something important about me. Before I met her, I worked in corporate fraud investigations. My job used to be digging through lies for a living. Following digital trails. Spotting inconsistencies. And right now, something about this whole situation smelled exactly like the cases I used to handle. I opened another tab. Then another. Then another. Piece by piece, the weekend started revealing itself. Tagged photos from her friends. Club locations. Stories saved in highlights. Faces in the background. And there he was. Tyler. Tall. Dark hair. Gym body. Appearing in 3 different photos across 2 different accounts. Always near Emma. Always smiling. Always just close enough to raise questions. My stomach tightened. But strangely, I still didn't feel rage. Not yet. Just focus. Cold focus. Around midnight, the bedroom door creaked open. Emma walked out quietly. She froze when she saw the laptop glowing on the coffee table. You're still up? Yeah. She walked closer. What are you working on? Just some old contacts, I said casually, minimizing the screen. She nodded slowly. Then sat beside me. Closer this time. Maybe guilt pulling her back. I didn't want tonight to go like this, she said softly. How did you want it to go? I don't know, easier. I chuckled under my breath. Breakups are rarely easy. It's not a breakup. Right, a break. She sighed. You're doing that thing again. What thing? Being distant. That almost made me laugh. Distant. The irony. You asked for space, I reminded her. I'm respecting it. She looked down at the floor. I know it's just weird. Yeah. 5 years, and suddenly everything's changing. Her voice sounded fragile now. Like she wanted comfort. Like she expected me to reassure her. But something inside me had shifted tonight. And the man she left 3 days ago was not the same man sitting here now. You know what the strange part is? I said. What? You already decided all of this before you came home. Her eyes flicked up. That's not true. Really? You think I planned this? I think your friends helped you practice the speech. Her face flushed. That's not fair. Maybe. But it's honest. She stood up abruptly. I'm going back to bed. Good idea. She walked away quickly this time. But before disappearing into the bedroom, she stopped again. Just so you know, nothing happened on that trip. The words landed in the room like a dropped glass. I looked up slowly. I didn't ask. Her face tightened. Right. Then she closed the door. But the interesting thing about lies is that people often tell them before they're accused. And that sentence she just gave me, it confirmed something important. Emma knew exactly what she did in Miami. And deep down, she knew I would eventually find out. I waited until the bedroom lights turned off. Then I reopened the laptop. Tyler Grant, Miami, gym trainer, tagged photos, mutual connections. And then, a new notification popped up on Emma's Instagram. She had just posted another story. I clicked it. It was a photo of a beach sunset from Miami. But the caption made my blood run cold. Some weekends change everything. I stared at the screen, then slowly leaned back into the couch. And for the first time that night, my smile returned. Because Emma thought she came home asking for freedom. But what she didn't understand was that the real consequences of Miami hadn't even begun yet. I didn't sleep that night. Not even for a minute. Emma slept in the bedroom while I stayed on the couch with my laptop glowing in the dark like a silent witness. Outside, Chicago never stopped moving. Taxi lights sliding through the streets. Sirens echoing somewhere in the distance. People living their lives. Meanwhile, inside my apartment, my entire relationship was quietly unraveling. But instead of panic, I felt something else. Clarity. Because when you stop trusting someone, you start noticing everything. And Emma had made one mistake. She assumed I would just sit here emotionally broken while she figured things out. But the man she asked for a break from used to investigate people for a living. And people who lie, they always leave trails. By 2 a.m., I had mapped most of the weekend. Thursday night, arrival in Miami. Dinner with friends. Friday, beach day. Clubs that night. Saturday, yacht party. More clubs. Sunday morning brunch. Then flight home. All normal. Except for one detail. Tyler Grant appeared in too many places to be coincidence. Tagged in the same clubs. Standing behind Emma in a group photo. His arm casually resting on the same railing she leaned against. Always nearby. Always smiling. And the most interesting part, Emma never mentioned meeting anyone. Not once. At 3:17 a.m., I finally closed the laptop. Because by then I knew two things. First, something definitely happened in Miami. Second, Emma was lying about it. But the question wasn't if she cheated. The question was how far it went. And more importantly, what she planned to do next. Morning came slowly. Gray sunlight leaked through the curtains. The smell of coffee filled the kitchen. Emma walked out of the bedroom around 8 a.m., her hair messy and eyes half open. She stopped when she saw me already dressed, sitting at the kitchen island with my laptop closed. You didn't sleep, she asked. Couple hours. She frowned. You should rest. I'm good. She poured herself coffee and sat across from me. For a moment, she looked almost normal again. Like the woman I had spent 5 years with. But that illusion cracked the moment her phone buzzed. Her eyes dropped to the screen instantly. Then she flipped the phone face down. Too quickly. Too carefully. I noticed. Of course I did. You busy today? She asked. Couple meetings. She nodded slowly. Actually, I might stay with Jessica for a bit. Jessica. Her best friend. The same friend who organized the Miami trip. Because of the break, I asked. Yeah, I think it'll help. Of course it would. Because if Emma wanted freedom, she would need somewhere to stay while she explored it. I nodded. Sounds like a good idea. Her eyes studied my face again. You're really okay with this? I told you, I understand. She seemed relieved. Dangerously relieved. Which meant she believed she had control of the situation. People always reveal their real plans once they think the other person has accepted defeat. She stood up and walked toward the bedroom again. I'll pack a few things. Take whatever you need. 20 minutes later, she returned with a duffel bag. Her movements were quick now. Efficient. Like someone eager to leave. She slipped on her jacket and picked up her phone. Then she paused at the door. Listen, this doesn't mean we're over. I looked up calmly. Of course not. I just need time. Take all the time you need. She hesitated, almost like she expected more emotion. But when none came, she opened the door. Bye. Bye, Emma. The door closed behind her. And just like that, 5 years of relationship walked out of the apartment with a duffel bag. I waited exactly 30 seconds. Then I stood up and walked to the window. From the 18th floor, I had a perfect view of the street below. Emma stepped out of the building and immediately pulled out her phone. Typing fast. Then she smiled. A smile I hadn't seen since before Miami. A black Uber pulled up. She got inside. The car drove away. I exhaled slowly. Then walked back to the kitchen. Picked up my phone. And dialed a number I hadn't used in almost 3 years. It rang twice. Then a familiar voice answered. Mark. Hey, Ryan. There was a pause. Well, damn, he laughed. Didn't expect to hear from you again. Ryan used to work with me during my investigation days. Now he ran a private digital intelligence company. Which basically meant, if something existed online, Ryan could find it. I need a favor, I said. Oh, this sounds interesting. It's about someone my fiancé met in Miami. He chuckled softly. Let me guess, trouble. You could say that. Name. Tyler Grant. I heard keyboard typing on the other end. Give me a minute. 30 seconds passed. Then Ryan whistled. Wow. What? You sure you want to go down this road? Yes. More typing. Well, your Miami boy is pretty active online. Meaning? Meaning he's not exactly subtle. My chest tightened slightly. What did you find? Ryan laughed again. Mark, I think you're going to want screenshots. Send them. A second later, my phone vibrated. Message received. I opened the images. And the moment I saw the first one, everything inside my chest went cold. It was a photo from a Miami nightclub. Dark lights. Crowded dance floor. Tyler Grant standing behind Emma. His arms wrapped around her waist. Her head tilted back against his shoulder. Both of them smiling. The timestamp was Saturday night. 3:08 a.m. Ryan's voice came through the phone again. You still there? Yeah. Want the rest? There's more. Oh yeah. Another message came through. I opened it. This time it wasn't a club photo. It was a selfie. Tyler again. Shirtless. Standing in what looked like a hotel room. Emma sitting on the bed behind him. Wearing the same dress from the yacht party. Her hand resting on his shoulder. My stomach dropped. Jesus, Ryan muttered. That one was posted on his private story. One of my guys grabbed it before it disappeared. The room felt strangely quiet. Like the world had paused. But the strangest part, I still didn't feel the explosive anger most people would expect. Instead, I felt confirmation. the final piece of a puzzle already forming in my head. Ryan spoke again. So what's the plan? I looked out the window at the Chicago skyline. Then slowly smiled. Emma wanted a break. Yeah. Well, she's about to get the most expensive break of her life. Ryan chuckled. Now that sounds like the Mark I remember. Because the truth was, Emma thought she left our apartment yesterday to explore freedom. What she didn't realize was that the moment she walked out that door, she had just triggered something far worse than a breakup. She had started a game she didn't understand. And the worst part for her, I had already begun making my first move. The funny thing about betrayal is that people think the damage happens in the moment. The kiss, the lie, the secret weekend. But that's not where the real damage lies. The real damage happens after. In the quiet. In the moments when the truth finally settles in your chest and you realize the person you trusted most was living a completely different story behind your back. I sat at the kitchen island, staring at the screenshots Ryan sent me. Emma, laughing, leaning into Tyler, her hand resting casually on his shoulder, like they had known each other longer than 48 hours. 5 years. 5 years of loyalty. 5 years of planning a future. And all it took was one wild weekend for her to throw it away. But anger still wasn't what I felt. Not really. What I felt was calculation. Because Emma had made 2 assumptions. First, that I didn't know. Second, that if I ever found out, I'd react emotionally. Scream. Cry. Beg. But Emma had forgot something about the man she was about to marry. I don't lose control when things fall apart. I start planning. My phone buzzed again. Ryan sent another message. Ryan, want me to dig deeper? I typed back. Me? Yes. 3 dots appeared immediately. Ryan, how deep are we going? I thought about Emma packing that duffel bag. The way she smiled when she texted someone outside the building. The way she said nothing happened. Then I typed 3 words. Me. Everything you can. Ryan replied almost instantly. Ryan, give me 24 hours. I closed the chat and leaned back in my chair. Because now the real question was what happened in Miami. The question was, what Emma planned to do next. People don't ask for a break unless they already have something waiting on the other side. And I had a strong feeling I knew what that something was. That night, the apartment felt bigger. Empty. Emma's shoes were still by the door. Her favorite candle still sat on the coffee table. Her toothbrush still next to mine in the bathroom. But the silence made it clear something fundamental had changed. I poured myself a glass of whiskey and sat by the window watching the Chicago skyline glow in the dark. Around 10 p.m., my phone lit up. Emma. Her name appearing on the screen still caused a strange pull in my chest. I answered. Hey. Hey, she said softly. In the background, I could hear music and voices. Jessica's apartment. You okay? Emma asked. Yeah. How was your day? Busy. She hesitated. Listen, I just wanted to check in. About what? I don't want things to feel weird between us. I almost laughed. Weird. She cheated in Miami and asked for a break 2 days before we were supposed to finalize wedding invitations. But sure. Let's call it weird. I think weird is unavoidable right now, I said calmly. She sighed. I know, I still care about you. That sentence felt almost insulting. Good to know. I mean it. Another pause. Then she said something interesting. My friends think maybe we should see other people during the break. I took a slow sip of whiskey. There it was. The real reason for the break. Freedom. Exploration. Options. And what do you think? I asked. I don't know yet. Lie. She already knew. I could hear it in her voice. But if it happens, she added quickly, it wouldn't mean our relationship is over. I stared out at the city lights. Emma. Yeah. If you want to see other people, you should. Silence. Complete silence. Wait, really? She asked. Of course. You're serious. Why wouldn't I be? She sounded stunned. Almost relieved. Wow, I thought you'd be more protective. Protective? That word told me everything. Emma believed she was asking permission. Like our 5-year relationship was some kind of safety net she could step away from temporarily. What she didn't realize was that safety net was already gone. You deserve to figure things out, I said calmly. Thank you, she whispered. Then she added something that made my grip tighten on the glass. There's someone I met in Miami. Of course there is. But it's not serious, she continued quickly. I just think maybe talking to him might help me understand what I want. Tyler. She meant Tyler. The man from the photos. The man she claimed nothing happened with. And now suddenly, she was talking to him. Interesting how fast the truth evolves. Well, I said quietly. I hope you find clarity. Thank you for being so understanding, she said again. After a moment, she added softly. You're still the most important person in my life. I almost laughed out loud. But instead I just said, Good night, Emma. Good night. The call ended. I placed the phone on the table and sat there in silence. Because the game had just changed again. Emma had officially opened the door. She thought she was exploring her options, testing the waters, seeing if the grass was greener. But she still believed something very important. That if things didn't work out, she could always come back. Back to me. Back to the apartment. Back to the wedding we had planned. Back to the man who loved her. What Emma didn't realize was that door behind her was already closing. And the moment Ryan finished his investigation tomorrow, I was going to make sure it locked permanently. My phone buzzed again. Ryan. I opened the message. One sentence. You're not going to believe what I just found. Attached were 6 more screenshots. I opened the first one. It was a message. From Tyler. Sent to Emma last night. Can't stop thinking about Miami. When are you coming back? Emma's reply came seconds later. Soon, I just have to finish ending things here. The glass in my hand stopped halfway to my lips. Ending things here. Not taking a break. Not figuring things out. Ending things. 5 years. And she had already decided. I leaned back slowly. Then I smiled again. Because if Emma thought she was about to quietly end our relationship and walk away to her new life in Miami, she had no idea what was about to happen next. 5. I stared at Emma's message for a long time. Soon, I just have to finish ending things here. 5 years of memories, reduced to one sentence. Ending things here. Like our relationship was just some loose thread she needed to tie off before moving on to the next chapter of her life. For a moment, the apartment felt colder. Not because I was shocked. Not because I was heartbroken. But because something inside me finally shifted completely. Up until that point, part of me still wondered if Emma might wake up. If she might realize what she was throwing away. If she might come back and say she made a mistake. But that message erased that possibility. She wasn't confused. She wasn't lost. She had already chosen. And now, so had I. My phone buzzed again. Ryan. Ryan. There's more. Another screenshot appeared. This time it was a message between Emma and Jessica. Jessica. So are you actually going to leave Mark? Emma. Yeah, I just have to do it the right way so I don't look like the villain. Jessica. You mean the break thing? Emma. Exactly. Give it a few weeks, then say we grew apart. I exhaled slowly. There it was. The full plan. The break. The emotional speeches. The soft landing. All carefully designed so Emma could walk away guilt-free while keeping her reputation clean. Ryan called a second later. You good? He asked. Yeah. You want the rest? Sure. He laughed quietly. Man, she's messy. What else? Well, Tyler's not exactly boyfriend material. What do you mean? Ryan paused. Let's just say Emma isn't the only girl he met that weekend. My eyebrow lifted. Explain. More keyboard sounds. Then another screenshot arrived. This one showed Tyler's messages with a different woman. Same weekend. Same hotel. Same kind of flirting. Same photos. Different girl. Ryan spoke again. Your guy, Tyler, is basically a professional vacation romance. I leaned back in the chair. Suddenly, everything made sense. Emma thought she found something exciting. Something new. But in reality, she was just another weekend story. Do me a favor, I said. Name it. Send me everything. You're planning something, aren't you? I smiled. Something like that. 2 weeks passed. Emma stayed at Jessica's place. She texted occasionally. Friendly. Casual. Like nothing serious had happened. Hope you're doing okay. Thinking about you today. Maybe we should talk soon. I always replied politely. Short answers. No drama. No anger. Exactly the reaction she expected from the man she thought she understood. Meanwhile, I prepared. Because Emma forgot one small detail about our lives. The wedding. 4 months away. 300 guests. Deposits paid. Venues booked. Families invited. And most importantly, a wedding website Emma created months ago. The same website where guests RSVP'd. The same website where updates were posted. And the same website where one final message would soon appear. 3 weeks after Emma left, she texted me. Can we meet tomorrow? I replied. Sure. We met at the small coffee shop near our apartment. The same place we used to spend Sunday mornings planning our future. Emma looked nervous when she walked in. Her eyes searched my face the moment she sat down. Hey. Hey. She studied me carefully. You look different. I've been busy. She took a deep breath. Mark, I think we need to talk about where things are going. There it was. The speech. The final act of her plan. I agree, I said calmly. Relief flashed across her face. I'm really glad you understand that this break has helped me realize a lot. Oh. She nodded. I've grown, and I think we both deserve to be happy. Translation, I'm about to leave you, but I want you to thank me for it. I think you're right, I said. Her shoulders relaxed. She thought this was going perfectly. I'll always care about you, she continued gently. But sometimes people grow apart. I nodded. You're absolutely right. She blinked. Really? Yeah. Then I pulled out my phone. Actually, I prepared something. Her eyebrows lifted. What? I opened the wedding website. Then turned the screen toward her. Emma leaned closer. At first, she didn't understand what she was looking at. But then she saw it. A new update posted to every guest. Our families. Our friends. 300 people. The message read, Wedding update. The event has been canceled after the bride requested a break to explore a new relationship she began during her Miami Bachelorette trip. Below the message were screenshots, Tyler's photos, their messages, the plan she discussed with Jessica. Everything. Emma's face went pale. Mark, what did you do? I leaned back calmly. I finished ending things here. Her mouth opened slightly. You sent this to everyone. Everyone. Her breathing quickened. My parents. They saw it. My coworkers. Yep. Her voice dropped to a whisper. You ruined my life. For the first time since Miami, I felt something close to anger. But it wasn't explosive. It was quiet. Controlled. No, I said softly. You ruined it. Tears formed in her eyes. You didn't have to humiliate me. I looked at her for a long moment. Then I said the one sentence that finally ended everything. You didn't have to betray me. Silence filled the coffee shop. Emma stared at the screen again. At the evidence. At the truth she tried to hide. And for the first time since she came back from Miami. She had no speech prepared. No plan. No control. Just consequences. I stood up from the table. Emma looked up desperately. Mark, please wait. But I shook my head. Take all the time you need, I said. Then I smiled one last time. The same calm smile I gave her the night she asked for a break. And as I walked out of the coffee shop into the Chicago sunlight, I realized something strange. I didn't feel revenge. I didn't feel anger. I felt something much better. Freedom. The kind Emma thought she was chasing in Miami. The difference was, I didn't have to betray anyone to find it. And behind me, Emma finally understood the cost of the break she asked for.